Okay, so when I was thinking about this, I've never actually recorded an introduction for this podcast. So, welcome to the Royalist King CJ podcast, where we talk about music of all kinds: pop, country, hip hop, trap, R&B, soul. Just overall, we're gonna take a deep dive into music, and just kind of see where we end up, and what conversations and what we can learn from the music that isn't so clear in the first listen. So, welcome to the Royalist King CJ Music Podcast, and I hope you enjoy.
Okay, so Stormzy is a UK artist. He's working on his album. I think it's called the S4, which I think the S4. If the S4 is what I'm looking at, and we have Toxic Traits and Favorite Spot and Longevity Flow, I think this will be a great album. However, today what we're going to talk about is Longevity Flow, which I think the song is. I think the song in itself, the way that it's produced, is probably one of my favorite. Like it's definitely. It's gonna be probably like a song that people will dance to and just have a fun time being themselves to. So, without further ado, because I think this is Stormzy's song by himself. It is a Stormzy song by himself, but it will be on the C4. So with that being said, let's see if we have any sponsors. We'll get right into it. Okay, so let's talk about this Stormzy's first verse. Where his first verse to me is something that I do. Like he said, Longevity Flow. I'm making people pray for my demise, which is weird because I think there are a lot of people, especially in the UK, but there's some American artists that are like, I don't think Stormzy is the best at what he does, and to some extent, this is where he gets more into it, where he talks about, I'm the only one who has their eye on the prize of him making $1 million, as in he did, and Mel made me do it, right? He focused on a lot of content where he was like, I'm focused on making mills because I'm making M's, right? And that was his kind of process. Is I'm chasing the money because I can do so. Which I'm not saying is the worst way to do it, but there are ways to handle certain situations. And which I don't know if Stormzy did it the right way, but he did do it his own way, which I cannot be mad about. He says they make a bit of money and they think we're the same, that we are size like that we're basically competition now. They make a little bit of money and think they're on my level. And to Stormzy's point, there aren't many people that can get on Stormzy's level and rap like they need to, right? And rap like they really need to, and are showing it that they can rap. There aren't that many, so I understand what he's saying, right? But he also says, I'd rather be overrated and overpaid than whatever you are. Like, I'd rather be overpaid, and I'd rather make more money than you and be seen as somebody that's overrated or overhyped, because you don't have that hype behind you and you aren't making as much money as I am. Look, I came from the story. As him being honest, he came from, we'll talk about middle class or poverty rates, where you're living just the amount to survive and you aren't making like tons of money. He says Big Mike made the rules. Like the I think he was on part of the was it Ghetto Boys he was a part of? I believe that's what he was. I think he was part of the Ghetto Boys. But Big Mike is an American I think he was an American artist. He was part of a group. He was part of the Ghetto Boys or Ghetto Boys. It's GETO Boys. And so he says, but I think it came out in 1980, because he was born in 1972, 1980s, something like that. And he says, and it's an interesting line, right? Because you hear it and you're like, that's a weird way to do it. And then he says, Big Mike made new rules like made the new rules like Dula. And Dula, I don't know if he's talking about the artist. I believe she's Albanian British singer. I believe that's who he's talking about. He could be referring to somebody else. Only reason I know her is because the song "New Rules" that she made in 2017. Dua Lipa. Yeah. Which is weird. I don't think a lot of people consider her to be British, but they made New Rules like Dua Lipa, and her song is called New Rules. That's why that hit me as that, and then Big Mike would be either the American artist or So it's interesting to me that these came together the way that they did. And then he says it's me, Twin, and all of other his friends, and I've never spent any word truer, and if I have, I can't remember it. But let it render. This bar right here is like, hey, let me think. Have I said any words that are any truer? And this is just that let it render of, hey, I've never spat a word any truer is something that I just enjoy every time I hear it, because it's like, hey, I'm gonna be completely honest in my raps. I've never said a word any truer, but I can't remember. So let me go back and this is one of my favorite. It's a simple line, but it is one of my favorites because it is the way that it's designed to make the person think, okay, has he said anywhere there's any truer? Which is, he says 4K HD vision like Wagner. And I don't know if he's talking about like the American company that makes watches. And that's what my assumption is, but I'm not entirely sure. He says, think you're tough until you get your bubble bursted. Almost as you think you're tough until you meet me in person, until you meet somebody in person, and then your whole personality changes. Which is, I mean, it's true for a lot of people that that's what happens to a lot of people. They act a certain way on the internet, and then they can't back that stuff up. Which is, I'm saying, people act tough until you burst their bubble, until you show them what it's really about. He's like I just revealed the gender. Almost like it's, hey, I'm gonna pop the bubbles with pins and stuff until I show you you're not as tough as you think you are, which is I like. Oh, I like. And he talks about he talks about the music group, and the music group, um, the name is switched, but he goes. Give me 1 minute. He goes Corey and Banga, but it's Banga and Corey is the music group, and that's why he's like, I'm like old school like Corey and Banga, but Banga and Corey. And then that's the music group. What I believe they're more famous for, if you ask me, would be the song Either Night, where I think they did a remix of it. But it is one of like the interesting songs that they have put out. Right? It was like 2008 when they put it out, and he says old school, and I think that's what he's referring to. He says, he says, I was a flavor of the month, but I'm the flavor of the decade, which is just putting more empowerment on the movement of Brits. I'm not entirely sure what he classifies himself as. I don't know if it's Nigerian, British. It's getting your head like a headache. He says, without getting your head like a headache, and you love the bite. And that's more of like a, it's shafty like a pub, shafty like a pub fight, which is, pub fights are more. I can explain this. Pub fights are known to get a little rowdy. I think that's it. I think rowdy is the best way to describe it. Because I think it's supposed. I don't know. It's supposed to be chatty, because if it's chatty, it's like they get very talkative. But if so it's weird. But it is. He says his palm 3.5. I send it back to the sender. Almost as I don't think it's ready, so I'm gonna send it back to the sender, which is great. I think it's more of a biblical verse there. He says old school. He said the old school killers that I hug tight. I'm very close with old school killers. They hate some people, but they love Mike. which is weird. I think he says if you're grass, man is hoping that they're man hopping out like they're slugs. It's a Bug's Life, like the movie Bug's Life, which I think is ironic that he put this in here because it is. It's funny when you think about it because he says a bit footy with Bud Light, and it's like we're gonna relax, and it's weird. It's like I need I need cheese with a bun slice, which is like a thin slice. If I remember correctly, it's a thin slice. He says they're hoping that they're hoping it jam, but it bang like mom rice, which is I don't know, cause the only rice I've had that is like I guess like it's like kind of the Jamaican like curd rice, right? Or so it's weird. He says it's banging like mom's rice, which a brand new kettle for a dumb price. This is one of the weirdest lines I've heard, but he's rung it up so often, and he's in his X4. So I'm worried what the X4 album's about. But he says a brand new kettle for a dumb price. A kettle meaning a watch for a dumb price. Little man, that's if I told you what the cost, it would be a little bit unsettling. He could have been in there in Shelling. Which I think is great. I think, I don't know if he has his degree in engineering or he just could have been an engineer in Shelling. Now, man, solid working the field. Oh, this line, it's just, he's showing that improvement that he's made throughout his life to be at this point where he can be and kind of enjoying it. I was made in a manner, yeah, I'm old school. I used to, I used to mash wearing the Spanish. He says he used to roll dice. We can call it like a dice game with Savannah. And he says, I use sky scanners, which I don't know if anyone's ever heard of a sky scanner. I won't say a sky scanner is, I don't know if people have used Skyscanner, but it is, and I'm not sponsored. But Skyscanner, he says I don't use Skyscanner, which Skyscanner is a way to find like a way to find cheaper tickets, book cheaper hotels, and stuff like that. So he says I don't use Skyscanners. I call Big Trev, that's a certified planner. Like they'll associate everything right away. Like an agent. I think he says Big Trev, and Big Trev's an agent. So it's interesting the way that this is because he says he doesn't use Skyscanner, and Skyscanner I don't know if a lot. I don't know. I think people use Travelocity in America, but I don't think people use like I don't know anybody that uses like Skyscanner a lot for like booking hotels and airports and everything together. But I'm certified planner. I'm still little Mike. It's just a woman. She doesn't understand my London lingo, but she doesn't understand my London grammar, but she loves my lingo. This is like this song in general. I do like. He says Mariah and Curtis. I always be like Mariah and Curtis, the singers, which I do love. He's given notoriety to a lot of people that didn't really necessarily know a lot about different singers unless they're mainstream. So he's giving a lot of people. We grew up in a circus. I've been robbed. I robbed too, but I've never robbed purses. So we can assume he's talking about that money, right? He can talk about money. So this is what I'm saying. I don't know necessarily where this album's going to go, right? But it is. And he makes some more points. Don't ask what's the damage, because I'm sure it didn't do any damage. Oh, wait. What we managed. With my 2 fists, axe flips. I'm a savage. I used to pray for dough. Now I'm asking for a God-sent marriage, which is just him hitting that religious factor into this. And so it's great. He says I have this longevity flow. They're smooth and I want to be hitched. These rappers want to chat. We can scrap and I can prove that you're explicit, right? I ain't with that talking. I'm gonna just switch. Because you make me laugh, but it's a joke. This is the thing. This particularly, right? Like this, I don't know. Like this is very much what this album is really seeming to be like is another album where he just is. I'm gonna hit most of these points that I'm going to hit, and most of these songs I'm going to talk all the stuff I do because I can back it up. As he says, I can fight with my two hands. X Fisk flips, which I can't wait. I think S4 is gonna be a good album. I think this song is an okay song. I think this song is more of a him being more cocky and him just taking that song and being cocky with it. And I think Stormy has the right to be cocky with it, but at the same time, I don't necessarily. I think, and I do like the fact that he paid a lot of homage to a lot of these artists that weren't well known before this song dropped. But it's very interesting to hear it like out loud, and so we're gonna discuss this to a further extent. But it is at the same time, it's like he's looking for marriage, and he says he's looking for marriage. So I wonder if this is gonna be a love, but almost a toxic kind of like album that he's gonna put out. And the only reason I said it is because we have Toxic Trait so far, we have Favorite Spot, and we have Longevity Flow. Almost him showing, hey, if we put up to the matches, I can last, and I'm going to last longer. He's giving artists their credit, and he's just, this to me, he says, I kill the game, I'm a serial offender. And it does seem that way because Storms is so big that every time he puts out a song, or an album, it seems to go like top 10 or top 100. And I wonder if this is some kind of experimenting with these kind of songs. And I think if that's the case, I think this is fun. I do like that Bug's Life kind of reference, but it's that metaphor that I do like. That engineering's like, this is the thing. It's very empowering. It can make somebody very cocky, but it can drive a lot of people. Like this song has some good messaging points. It does overall give homage to a lot of artists and give some artists some light that they would never receive otherwise. So I'm quick to judge this and say that this song isn't great. I think the song is great, but I'm at that 7.2 out of 10 because it's great, it's good. However, Toxic Trait to me seems like the better song. Right? So, and I'm not hating on Stormzy. I think he makes great music. However, this S4 album that I'm waiting for, I'm waiting to see what's in store with this S4 album. I really am. I'm not. This is a song this is an album I'm waiting for, and it says 2023, so we're getting it soon, unless this is an EP, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm waiting for this to come out. Stormzy Longevity Flow is definitely a song I'd go listen to. It does sound a little cocky though, so I do want to make sure I make that abundantly clear that it does sound a little cocky, but this is the thing. The question will be, will this hold up in time if we listen to this and later down the road? Longevity Flow for me may be in rotation more than probably, I don't know. Like it's an okay work for him, but I don't think it meets that standard of Stormzy being hungry. I think that's what it suffers from a little bit. The beat I do enjoy. The producers I like that they put this song together. I do wonder though. I do very much wonder what we're in store for. If he's dropping singles week by week, this album drop that's gonna come in 2023, I can't wait. There's only a few months left of 2023, so this should be great.